Hi guys, I'm Nate from Good Mayhem Racing. This is the 4Runner that we are going to race the Baja 1000 in. Let me give you an update on the things that we've done over the truck and also safety requirements. As you can see that I'm in a full racing kit. Rick, one of the members of the team for this El Paso race, he's probably going to have a lot of involvement for the Baja 1000. We'll get to see how that shakes out. He is letting me borrow some lights. The 4Runner needs to be able to see in the dark. We are driving at speed off-road at night, and the more light you can have, in general, the better. Some people like Rigid Industries and Baja Design Studios, they will even have certain models of light for you to use depending upon how fast you're going. And this truck can go fast, but if you want to treat it like a trophy truck, it's only going to be very fast for a very short distance. Meaning you're gonna break something. So my goal with El Paso is to just treat it like a stock vehicle that's not very modified with the suspension and just go a healthy, smart rate. So then first we can finish, 2, learn, and 3, save the truck. This is probably gonna be one of those 50% effort type races, as in we're gonna hold a lot back. I would rather my co-driver say speed up rather than slow down. The co-driver is named Steve. He's a really cool guy. He's raced the Baja several times over, and he's willing to co-pilot, which is phenomenal. He and I are syncing up GPS files and stuff like that. His feedback's gonna be invaluable, just like Rick's was in making the whole nav setup. Rick and his wife Diana also raced the Baja 1000, and her feedback into what was going on with the Garmin kit was great. You know, like with the whole grab handle stuff that I made a video about a while back. Yeah, that stuff was like realized with her feedback, and I'm so grateful for that. Colin, an Ultra 4 guy, he's going to be coming over tomorrow and helping me work on all of the safety security bolts. We're going to be using Nord-Lock washers for that. Anywhere where the suspension doesn't have a lock nut or retaining washer setup already in place, we're going to mount those Nord-Lock washers. The lights that Rick provided are down here. I cut the bumper out to make them fit. It's the stock Bronco kit from Baja Designs. So it uses all the same mounting hardware and everything. So I actually welded studs into the bumper to take that whole assembly in as is, and I wired it into the S-Pod. Now, the S-Pod and buttons. When you're a weekend warrior, when you go out and have fun, like a lot of my friends are going to be at Jambo this next weekend, all of the controls are usually on the driver's side, as the driver is getting to push all the buttons, and the navigator or the person that's the passenger is just sitting there having a good time. In off-road racing, the driver is focused on 3 major inputs: steering wheel, gas, brake, and then any type of shifter that you might have. All of the other buttons, the navigation, the radios, your lights, your intercoms, your fans, and any type of auxiliary equipment, that's the co-pilot's job. This guy makes sure to go straight when this guy tells him to go straight. This guy tells him to go left, this guy goes left. That's how the order of operations is supposed to work. The driver listens to the navigator is God for the driver. That's how important the co-pilot is for the pilot. Never underestimate the value of having a good co-pilot. Now, the next level that you need to worry about is safety. So, this is a Snell rated 2020 helmet, and it's the latest and greatest for Snell designs, and it also uses the one of the most current neck restraint systems out there by NextGen. I have the Rev 2 Lite. It mounts into the helmet right here and gets belted in to your shoulder straps at the back. Your actual neck restraint doesn't sit on your shoulders, it sits behind your shoulders. That way it stops your head from twisting forward. It's actually really cool. This particular helmet right here is supposed to work with air. So as in you have air blowing into your helmet, so then you can have a dust-free view inside of your helmet, let alone what's happening outside. By the way, no windshield. We're not doing a street race here. It's off-road, no glass, so the windshield's gonna pop out. Next up, you can see that I'm actually using 2 different gloves. Last but not least, a fire skirt for the helmet. Next up is gloves. Gloves for racing in general need to be fire rated, and there's generally 2 kinds that get accepted. When you have a sanctioning body that requires your gloves to be SFI rated, that's when racing dedicated gloves come into play. This one right here is sold by PCI Radios, and the actual SFI tag is sewn into the seam here. And you can see it kind of pop out the bottom, but it's really not something you can read so well just because it's so squashed. Yeah, like even says product meets tiniest thing to read. SFI spec 3.3/5. This glove right here is the Magpul Flight Glove 2.0. This one is a fire rated military style glove, and what's very cool about it is that its fitment is very close, where this one has a little bit of play for the same size. And this one has 3 major contact points for your phone use, where this one only has 2. And also because this one has a specific kind of sew pattern, you can see here versus the smooth pattern here, this has a lot easier contact points with things that you're working with versus this one. Now, does that really matter when you're a race car driver? No, because you're only holding the steering wheel, you're taking care of the gas, and you're taking care of the brakes, and taking care of your shifter, and maybe a push to talk. For your navigator, he's got to push a lot of buttons. So the likelihood of him using this versus this, I don't know. I mean, I would love to listen to some racers actually shine some feedback on it, but for someone who has to push a lot of buttons and do it regularly, I imagine this is probably a better solution, so long as it's fire rated. I think there's an opportunity for a company like Magpul to actually make a SFI rated version of their glove just to sell to this kind of stuff. Like these things are about the same price. These are loosely $80 gloves, $80 military, $80 SFI. It would be great to have this and be SFI. Throwing that out there, Magpul. Next up, for safety, we were talking about the shoulders and sleeves and torso and legs. One-piece racing suit. One piece. Whenever you have a 2-piece racing suit, where it actually like separates here, guess where fire can go? Up. So 1-piece driving suit, that's the requirement for SCORE and a lot of other sanctioning bodies that are oriented around off-road racing. Next up, you have shoes. Fire-rated shoes. I don't know if you can actually see that in frame. Let me back up here. Fire-rated shoes. Colin, the Ultra 4 guy, made a great recommendation. Since we are out in the middle of nowhere, you need to have traction. A lot of driving shoes have barely no tread whatsoever. It's almost like a climber's shoe that's fire rated. I need a little bit of contact pattern to walk around and be steady. So he recommended that I get pit shoes, and that's what these are. They are fire rated pit shoes that you can use in a race car. They are made by G2, and they are very comfortable, and they actually fit my size wonderfully well. I usually am a 10.5 double D, as in like wide foot path, or even EE in some manufacturers, and even these standard 10.5s fit them fine. That was great. So we've talked about the gloves, we've talked about the shoes, we've talked about the helmet, we've mentioned the neck restraint. The last but certainly not least are, this is the first time I've ever worn this racing suit, but last but not least, your fireproof underwear. Fireproof is a misnomer, right? It's just fire rated, as in for a certain amount of time it protects you from a 2nd degree or 3rd degree burn, and you really need to just get out of there as quick as you can. If you're conscious, get out, right? So SCORE requires any type of undergarment under the race suit to also be fire rated. So we're talking a fire rated long sleeve shirt, fire rated long sleeve pants, fire rated socks. And all of this is made out of Nomex, or it's fire treated cotton. This stuff doesn't breathe worth a darn. It is toasty. Like, I am sweating right now, and the garage is 67 degrees Fahrenheit. And this is a tri-layer, 3-layer racing suit, and the Nomex that's underneath it is 1 layer. Granted, SCORE, for the way the specification is currently written, you can wear a fire suit that's SFI at 3.2/5 rated, if I remember correctly, without fireproof garments underneath. But if it's SFI 3.2/1, you have to. But if you go to Best in the Desert and some other American style races, they require you to have the 3.2/5 and fire rated underwear underneath. STORE, the event that we're going to next Saturday, requires us to meet Best in the Desert specifications. So that's why you're seeing me wear this full kit here. And I'll probably do that in Mexico as well. So what's next on the 4Runner? Nordlocks. We talked about that earlier, right? These are the most expensive nuts that money can buy. Check them out. And I just dropped them on the floor. Great. So these things are braided nuts that allow you to have a very good locking connection without, let's get in view, without having safety ties, your general Loctite or anything like that. They're cool. And they're also reusable, which is something a lot more, I mean, that's way better than your average safety tie. The other benefit of these over safety ties is that it's a lot easier to do a field repair, right? You're just tightening it back to spec versus safety ties where you have to have all of those extra parts laying around. There is one foil for the design though. Nordlock washers cannot be used with any other washer inside the bolt pattern. Actually, I can show you a picture here. So this right here is the recommended bolt pattern for Nordlock. If your bolt is just connecting 2 mated faces with a blind hole, Nordlock on that side. A bolt going through 2 mating faces, Nordlocks on both sides. If you're mounting to a stud, Nordlock on one side. If you're doing a free hang between 2 plates with a large gap, Nordlock again. But you see right here, see how that little red line across that? That's another flat washer that's underneath or around that Nordlock. You cannot have those. If that thing is there, it will allow your assembly to get loose, where your Nordlocks will prevent that from happening on their own. So there you have it. That's all the progress we've had since the last video. I'm really excited. I would like to say that I've gotten more sleep, but that's very much a fallacy. And we've got some more preparation to do before we get there. I'm looking forward to it, and I'll see you out in the desert, if not my garage. Like and subscribe if you want to see more. Laters.